Organization Forum of Youth Forum, all G20 members countries to be able to dialogue with each other. Y20 encourages youth as a future leaders to raise awareness of global issues, exchange ideas, argue, negotiate and reach the consensus. This time, this momentous event is being organized by here at Vasireddy Venkatadri Institute of Technology in collaboration with esteemed Y20 India and Ministry of Youth India. As we recognize the significance of Industry 4.0 innovation and the vital skills necessary to thrive the digital era.
In this age of immense possibilities and transformative technologies, it is crucial that we gather here united in purpose and dedication to examine the future of work and equip ourselves with the necessary tools and knowledge to exchange in ever-changing the global workforce.
Today, we have the privilege of being joined by an exceptional lineup of visionaries, thought leaders and experts who will grace our stage and share their invaluable insights and perspectives, and their collective wisdom and experiences will guide us in navigating the intricate intersection of technology, innovation, and the skills that will shape our professional journeys.
Y20 is an official forum to extend this knowledge and information to youth of India. We are proud to be part of this, probably the only college hosting such a thing in AP. Please take benefit from this. We expect students to, from this, learn that, at least get motivated to help their fellow beings, society at large, country, and the world later. Thank you.
I'd like to invite the moderator and the panelists onto the dais. Today we have Mr. Keshav Ram, Mr. Devansh, Mr. Mahadev Vasireddy, Mr. Vinay, Ms. Apoorva, Mr. Yaswanth for the panel discussion.
Please settle down, sir, please.
So before we go into the discussion, let's reflect on the present. Let's try to understand how, I think we have roughly about 5 to 10 years of experience, most of us here. I want each of you to reflect on how things have been when you just began from the 2020s and recently. So where do you think there have been greater replacements in each of your sector? So Vinay, you are from the Microsoft. So he's coming from the hotbed where things are happening. So what are your reflections? Of course, Vinay is also from Kozhikode. So I am Kozhikode. So he brings us the financial insight. He worked on the blockchain. He did the entire blockchain. He and a part of 3 have done the blockchain for Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, right? Coca-Cola. So you get the financial, blockchain, the happening technologies insights, right from industry to Vinay. Hello.
Taking that question, I'll first answer how things are changing now. So, since from last few days, everyone is talking about this generative AI, right? The major change that occurred is previously, from the last 5 years, if you see, every website you go, there is a bot there, which you ask some questions and it gives some replies. But if they are simple questions, it will try to search in its database, try to map the closer question and give you a pre-scripted answer. However, if you are not finding it, then it will give a template answer to you, or it is also used as in structure to navigate to different questions the user has. Like, do you have this question, and then you select something else so that you get the answer. But the change that happened with GPT is, it's able to generate a text which is grammatically correct and also making logical sense 7 out of 10 times. That's where one vertical of AI, which is natural language processing, has leapfrogged a lot, where there will be significant additions in efficiency and productivity. So that's the recent change. If you ask how this change will affect any of the industries, before industries, let's see maybe how it affects the management roles. When we are in management roles, what we generally search for is, first of all, we'll decide what we want to do, like what data we want. Once we get that, then we try to analyze that data. Once we have, we try to present that data. So these are the main 3 things that any business manager does in the corporates. So how GPT will help is, to get the right information, even if it is from a document repository or from a database. You can tell this is what I'm looking for, maybe like a revenue trend. So it gets you the right data. Once you get that data, the second thing is how it will add value to analyze it. Today, if we see the famous business intelligence software or Tableau, Power BI, right? So if this bot is integrated into it, you can ask for, okay, I want to see this data, slicing and dicing this way. Like I want which levers are affecting my gross margin, which levers are affecting my revenue, and it will by default generate that. So second, analysis. In analysis also it's helping. Previously also this analysis is there before GPT came up. But the difference is now it is able to put the analysis in a bulleted contextual points. Like it will tell you, okay, in so and so area there is XYZ company, there is a contract which is not working for you. Please go and take an action. So these are action oriented summary points. It can give you like 3 to 5 of them, and the people can take them and take an action. So that's how it's affecting the analysis part of it. Once that is done, maybe you can just ask your Power BI, okay, can you make a presentation out of it? Can you do a documentation out of it? Then it will beautifully put it in a document or a presentation slide and give it to you. So you take it to your leadership. So these are the 3 main things, the way it was affecting. One, to get the right information. Second, to analyze it. And third, to present it from a management perspective.
So if I can add a point here. So what Vinay tells is particularly important if you understand how human evolution happened. One important facet in the way humans evolved is that Harari writes beautifully in his book Sapiens, that language was central. For people to communicate among themselves, language was very central. So far, machines could not have the language. But once you have a machine which can read, understand, analyze, and even point out errors, it's a huge leap. So it's a threat. So when I was listing 3 to 4 things, I think wherever the machines intervene, there is one job there waiting, okay, what's my future, waiting to be reskilled. So it's a very powerful intervention where machines have entered into the language or the cognitive realm. So Mahadev, from your own insight into, I think I've seen Freela website, it's pretty good. So the way you are trying to, we'll come to the gig part. Okay. As also the vice president of this institution, where do you see some immediate quick changes happening right now?
Good morning everybody, hope you're all doing well. There are a couple of things that I wanted to mention. So earlier you have given as an example where if it's raining outside, we have to be the ones that stand outside and we are the ones that are giving the information to the kids. But I honestly feel even people who have graduated like 5-10 years ago like us, and leave alone the 30s and 40s age group, we are the ones that have actually become the satellites or the complex systems that does a lot of math to understand things. The next generations, it's always easier because it is a very norm for them. For example, let's say it took a lot of effort for us to figure out how an iPhone or iPad was working for our generation. But now a 3-year-old, my niece is basically playing games on it like there's no tomorrow. So when we notice that the current batches, half of our computer science is actually going to be graduating in specialties called AI, blockchain or IoT and DS and all of it. So when we talk about AI or the data sciences and all of it, I feel like they are the people that are actually standing in the rain and they can understand what's going on. Because the other day, Student Activities Council sent me a letter, some complaint. I was shocked to see the language that they have used. I was like, how? And then later they told me it's from ChatGPT. That's a different topic. So I was like, I myself never used ChatGPT to write a letter, but it actually wrote much better than what I can imagine myself writing in the next few years. Example of a nuclear bomb. Is it scary? Of course. But the same nuclear energy can be used to produce electricity that is enough for like generations coming together. So are we going to be worried about the nuclear energy as a bomb, or are we going to be excited and focusing our research or our workforce towards creating jobs or companies towards the good side of the technology? I would always think, as humans, evolution concept, we have always picked the right sides to live thousands of years. So I think we're going to do the same thing.
That's very, very good, Mahadev. This is how a person who is in the business realm or the startup should think. So So everything is an opportunity, and you have to increase the size of the cake rather than worrying about a small cake and how to preserve it. Your take on this, Devansh?
I have a very simple, I would like to begin with a very small story. Back when computers were introduced in India, when we got the first computers coming in, the entire nation was ravaged by protests. Simply stating that this is going to kill off all the jobs, this is going to create major problems for the economy, and this is not going to work out.
If I can add a small point there, in 1984 there was an editorial in the Hindu saying that if computers come, jobs, so people in the labor market is threatened, and you should ban them, sort of asking for a ban on computers in the Hindu editorial 1984. Yeah.
Today there's not a single profession out there that does not require some or the other use of the computers. Similarly, back in 2014, when we first introduced the idea of a digital economy, everyone refuted it, not possible, our vendors going to go out there with, the credit card machines. Today we're in 2023. By raise of hands, how many of you use UPI or Google Pay today? That's the answer in front of you, right? People say that AI is going to, lose jobs, and yes, jobs are going to be lost. It is estimated that AI is going to cost us 85 million jobs. But at the same time, it's also going to create 95 million more jobs. That is what we should be more excited and focused towards. AI has always been a cause of concern to humanity ever since Terminator came out. Okay, that scare has been there that Skynet is going to rise one day and take over the world. But it wasn't so prominent until AI reached households. While it was limited to research labs, people did not care much about it. Now that every single human has access to it, it's become scary. And I often believe that when a resource is limited and limited to a few people, they're quite comfortable with it. When everyone has access to the resource, it creates competition, and that is scary. Competition should never be seen as scary, because it makes us better individuals, it makes us better, I would say, businessmen, humans at the end of the day. I think 10 days into the release of ChatGPT, there was a new profession that was created called prompt engineers.
Yeah.
How can you use ChatGPT to ensure that you get the perfect estimated result? Imagine a job that was created within days of the product launching. How can we be scared of such a thing? So, and speaking from a background where, I work as a policy consultant of space that has just been created. And trust me, having AI tools that make it so easy for you to, I've worked as a risk analyst with EY before, and there we used to have mountains of data to go through. It would take an analyst at least 10 days to go through a company's data. GPT-4 does it in what? Seconds now. That doesn't mean that the analyst is going to lose the job. You still need that analyst to put that data into ChatGPT. It just means that instead of, like he said, instead of one building, 10 buildings, so one company will be able to analyze the data for 10 companies now. And that increases our productivity, that increases the billables for companies. I think it's a great idea going forward. How many of you have opened the Ministry of Education's website? Ministry of Communications. Now, one thing the reason why I do this is because a lot of people say that to bring change, you have to be somebody's son, or you have to be extremely wealthy, or you have to be extremely connected. None of those reasons apply anymore. Because all ministries, when I say all, every single ministry has now been actively hiring young professionals. They want to bring the young talent of India that is there to ensure that they create the policies that will, change the future for us. So when I'm talking about data privacy bill is going to be coming out pretty soon, the entire government is going digital. Who is going to be doing the work to take government digital? Everything from the coding to ensuring that it reaches out to the masses, all these opportunities are present. So it's like just as a jest also, sit with your friends one day, go on and up. It's extremely professional. Like you give an Infosys interview, you'd apply on the website. That's exactly the process. There is no other this thing. So one thing that I really want to, my one message to all of you would be, become part of the process. See, if you want some change, it's no longer you shouldn't be an armchair activist, I would say. Become part of the process. There are a lot of opportunities out there. It's just that we're not curious enough to ask for them.
You have been witness. Okay, you have graduated of late, and you you are witness to what's happening in the current trends, Yaswanth. Like you have been a digital content creator. Tell me what changes you see and how you have been able to leverage all these things.
Sure. Before reflecting on that, today's agenda like Industry 4.0. So any industry, might be Industry 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. What we are witnessing here is the advancement in technology. I have a quick question, like why do we need an advancement in technology? You might have many answers, but the ultimate answer is to save time and to improve the productivity. Let's take a common example that you people can resonate with, because many of our students here, programming or coding is something that you all can resonate with, right? So in 1960s, in the early days of programming, we used to write code in assembly language or binary code. So to even perform an addition, we need to take a lot of time and space and all, right? So in 1980s and early 1990s, like we have witnessed some high-level programming language like C, Java, etc. So what made them popular is because it reduces the time, like C or Java reduces the time that we spend on programming, right? Later on, like 2000 and 2010, like we have many frameworks, we have many libraries of Python or JavaScript came into existence, and we can do front end, back end using single language called JavaScript. But now there is something called no code. With the help of WordPress, we can design a website without the requirement of writing code. And now in the AI era, we don't need that as well. We don't need to drag and drop as well. Of course, people might think that it is making people lazy. But the thing here is, AI is doing that, right? So by this evolution, 50% of the people feel like AI is killing the job. But the thing here is, AI is not killing the job, but the person who is effectively using the AI is killing people who are not effectively following up with the trends. So this is something which is going on. Like you might also witness, like by the time you graduate, if you feel like you know HTML or CSS or JavaScript, you feel like you are a web developer. But once you graduate and once you go into the real world, real competition, like we have witnessed the layoffs and mass recessions in the last 2 to 3 years. The thing is, if there is an advancement in technology, people look for alternatives. Who can do the better? So recently, an e-commerce startup laid off 90% of its employees or support employees. Do you know the reason? Because one of the tech team member created an AI chatbot which will do the all tasks accurately and more efficiently than 90% of these employees. And many of the people suddenly took the internet in a storm, like they all, shouting at the person, the CEO, like why you are doing this, you are creating unemployment and all. But as a business person, like if I create a business, my main intention is to cut down the costs and improve the profits. That's the main intention, right? Any business owner will think in this way. But here, AI is not something which killed the 90% of the jobs there, but the person who created the chatbot, he is responsible for 90% of the layoffs. But it doesn't mean he is wrong, because he is right in his own way. He can survive for his rest of the life using the mindset that he has. But the thing is, people who depend on manual jobs, who are not really interested to upgrade themselves to the latest technologies, they might need to suffer. But there are some good things as well. So if I reflect on my experience.
Apoorva, what's your take? So from your own industry experience, be it ISB or Oracle or now Amazon.
Thank you for the question, Keshav. So I resonate with the thought that Yaswanth is also putting here. There is going to be disruption in technology that we have to agree and accept and reorient ourselves towards that. So being a business graduate and a business operations at Amazon, I try to see things in terms of saving time, increase productivity, cut down costs for Amazon, and how we can bring so much output with less amount of labor. So I try to think everything that I incorporate or strategize in Amazon in these perspectives. So let's go back and think during COVID what happened. Can you tell like some technologies or some disruptions that might have happened during COVID? Can you name a few?
You are the witness to it, so you should tell that.
So the main field that was disrupted during COVID is the edtech. The Byju's, the other edtech platforms, they became so quick that they brought nearly 10 to 12 platforms to serve school students, intermediate students, BTech students, and even postgraduate students of nearly 10 crore to 15 crore students across India. So do you think it was possible? It was possible in a span of one year or 2 years. And platforms like AWS of Amazon played a very keen role in bringing that much infrastructure across India. And currently Amazon gets so much profit but from the AWS platform itself that it is trying to revolutionize the data platforms across the world. For example, it is into data infrastructure and data warehouses area across 30 to 40 countries. And to name a few across Amazon, I would like to ask one of you a life cycle of an Amazon order. Like, can any of you volunteer and tell me like what happens from the time when you place an order and how it gets delivered to you?
So the best answer will be given a book or a certificate. Book certificate is more valuable. You can present it in your placements.
I hope every one of you might be using Amazon for your orders.
Not the best. The first answer will get a certificate.
Just 2-3 steps that you follow while you place an order.
The first answer will get an internship opportunity. No, sorry, that's cancelled. You'll get a certificate.
Add to cart, and after that filling the information, filling our details and order. After that we'll get a tracking link. It will just give updates about the location and where it is received. That's the process.
Can you detail me about like the last step where the delivery happens? Like how do you receive it? All the panel have touched upon or stressed upon how the AI is disrupting or how the AI can transform our lives or how much automation it can bring in next 10 to 15 years. So the panel has already touched and stressed upon it. So now I want to bring some point which the AI can't do. So AI is able to duplicate so much of human interactions and so much data is able to understand and analyze. But still, what the AI can't do is it can't understand a human emotion, or it can't facilitate a human expression, or it can't direct you towards what you have to do. So I feel the next set of industrial revolution is going to happen around this area, which the AI can't facilitate the human expression or human emotion, which is the arts field. So if you go back and have a look at the Robo movie, the professor has built a robo, but it was not able to have an emotion in it or have a direction towards its emotion. It played foully, or it was distracted at the end because it was not able to imbibe that cognitive ability and work towards a directional or a good change. For a good change, it was not able to work. So the human emotion or the human expression or the human cognitive ability is still a sector that has so much opportunity in it. And from our Indian arts, culture and heritage, you can go back and rethink how you can create opportunity or how you can create tech platforms around it or bring together so many artists around the world onto a common platform.
There is a question that I want to ask most of them. So let's say most of you are ready to go to any other city to do a good job, right? Once we get placed, who's ready?
Yeah, we are ready, yeah.
So looks like everybody is ready, right?
So now I'll ask you an interesting question. How many of you are ready or willing to go to say Delhi or Hyderabad if I offer you the same package sitting in Guntur? Let's say you're getting a 6 LPA and the reason why you're leaving your families and so on to go to a city is to get the 6 LPA that you wouldn't get in Guntur or Vijayawada. So I would like to ask you, let's say I get you the same job in Guntur or Vijayawada, how many of you are still wanting to go to Hyderabad or Bangalore? So this is something that we want to add in the policy making. There are a lot of tier 2 places, tier 3 places in India where if the decentralization of work can be promoted by the government, the youth doesn't need to always flock to the cities. If you notice, it went from 100 to 0 with one question. So that is something that we want to add in the edition of our meeting also, where if at all we can promote freelancing or let's say decentralization of the workforces, give some norms in the policies where we say, if you like the CSR, for example, a lot of companies are forced to do CSR by the government and there's nothing wrong about it. Maybe try to involve some policy where we say, if you are hiring this many people in tier 1 cities, you need to have this much workforce or your company resources placed at tier 2 also, where we don't have to always flock to cities just in the name of jobs and the women empowerment, or you say the families that they come from can be a good place for them to live compared to a random hostel or so in Hyderabad or Bangalore. So we would want to add that also from our addition to the policy making.
I mean, that is exactly why we've kept gig economy as one of the sub-themes, because we want to encourage it. We want to ensure that, the Indian gig economy becomes so vibrant that every single tier 2, tier 3 city starts producing unicorns or starts producing entrepreneurs at a scale that the world has never seen before. The hiring policy is something that I am not sure how much we can enforce, because it comes under the purview of private corporations. So we still live in a democracy.
I mean, we still live in the democracy where government still controls the fees, controls the student body, controls the admission of every education institution in the country.
That's a discussion we'll have off camera.
So if you are ready to have a reservation in the academics, why don't you have something, a good ratio split even in the work culture? What's stopping you?
See, reservation is there in academics, but please tell me where in private universities have we, started doing that? Government universities have it, government jobs have it.
I can tell you. You want me to? The universities that are they're set up at Amravati, the VVIT and SRM, the government was able to force them to have 50%. Government is government. What do you mean? Central government and state government, we cannot consider them to be two different governments in India.
No, that's exactly. So
exactly.
when we talk about
let me finish it. Let me finish it.
So let me also give you my policymaker viewpoint.
Yeah.
See, this is the biggest question that we face. Why don't schemes trickle down? Because the thing is, no matter how much we try, we follow. We have 3 lists that we follow: the concurrent list and the state list. No matter how much we try, a lot of power still resides with the state governments, and even more than so with the local governments. So unless they also become equal and willing partners in progress, it becomes difficult for the particular state or nation to progress. Like I was having this conversation with the Honorable Principal today in his cabin, that neighboring state of Telangana, there have been companies that have come and left Gujarat to go to Telangana.
Correct. To Hyderabad, not Telangana. That is the discussion. Show me a couple of companies that came to Telangana that's not Hyderabad.
To add to that, there were some companies which are coming to Siddipet, Karimnagar and Warangal tied to...
Let's say 1%.
But
at least leaving Hyderabad, leaving the gift city and leaving the Ahmedabad, they're coming to Karimnagar?
No, not like that, but they were encouraging there. I saw my friends
who were
from...
progressive industrial policies.
Let me be honest here, there is a popular movie dialogue most of us know here, As a part of every state citizen, are we in this country or are we out of this country?
Absolutely, you're in this country.
Correct. So is the central government supposed to be taking care of the policies that are related to the state government also or not?
Yeah, we are.
Correct. So basically when we ask something from the central government policy making, the blame cannot be put on the state government, because if state government is capable of doing it, the central government is always going to be capable of doing that.
Yeah.
So if an university can be forced to have 50% of their seats given to MSET counseling, of course you can force a company or two to, you know.
See, when you force an institute to give up 50% of its seats, right, that creates discontentment like it's there in you.
Correct.
And you can't have that going nationwide.
It's discontent.
It's a problem here that needs to be solved here. That I completely agree with.
Again, so now you're saying or calling that a problem. I didn't.
Yeah, I agree.
No,
You should not be. Why should private universities
let's
be-
put these two things apart. The point is that education needs to be in the concurrent list, no doubt about it, because for a multilingual country where you need multiple centers of control, it has to be in the concurrent list. So upon that, these minutiae, I think we can discuss it later on.
Some small example we'll try to do. Okay. So everybody, we do like to believe India is a democratic country, right? Correct. So I'll ask you.
One second.
Yeah.
We don't like to believe it is.
No, we all like to believe.
It
can
is.
also be.
It is.
We also like
It
to believe.
is.
So we like to believe it's a democratic country. So I have a quick question. There is at least 50 to 100 students here. I think about 100 students. So when I ask you that, the policies of the central government or the state government, should they be also democratically, as you said, the youth wing should also like the next age policies, right? So I'll suggest a small policy, the same one we discussed, and we'll see what the democracy here says. The same one, the Amazon company in Hyderabad, let's say, has 100 jobs. Can the government put a policy saying that they should at least put something in a tier 2 city in Amravati or Guntur saying that we need 20 jobs here at least? Who's going to support that?
The government came out with
let me come there.
with the national youth policy 6 months back. How many of you sent in your opinions about that? It had employment things related to employment also.
It didn't reach the ears there.
No, that is the thing. No, how none of them had even opened up the ministry's websites to even check what the government was offering.
As you said, it's just recently changing, and we never really thought that.
No.
You can't have it both ways, right? You
let
can't
me intervene here.
not contribute and then say the government is not
So
doing
now
anything.
we are right.
So that's exactly what I'm saying.
So
we have to be proactive.
Mahadev,
we are
just a
proactive
second.
now.
So the policy that you are suggesting was exactly the same policy we had in the 1960s, wherein we forced the public sector companies to come to the tier 2 cities. Why is this in the Ramagundam, etc.? We want, but economies of scale doesn't work when they are in tier 2 or tier 3 cities, right? It's very difficult for an Amazon. Okay, if we want to have a software company elsewhere, what would the software company be looking at? Human capital, proper hospitals, proper education. So that requires a lot of other resources to come in parallelly, right? So if you just ask someone, because India is a democratic, we cannot force a company to establish it here. At max, you can give it some incentives. You are giving incentives, but companies are not willing to come because situations are not favorable in tier 2 or
policies
tier
are not
3.
against them.
Tier 2 and tier 3 cannot accommodate them. That's the discussion for another day. Yeah, Vinay, you want some?
Just to add on that,
Yeah. Yes.
delocalizing or democratizing the talent, spreading it across India is a good thing. But I completely agree with you, Mahadev. But it takes a bit time. Maybe government should think on it, not at large scale, like 50% they should do it here. But if they started with 5, 10, and if they tell, okay, can you have your support center here as well, instead of having it only in the city? That's a good way to start. And maybe just to quote an example, we all know about Zoho, right? Google offered $1 billion to buy that company. So it's a cloud company in India, built in rural Chennai, now used by most of the MSMEs to run their business. So there are examples. Maybe that government can take it as a case study of Zoho and try to replicate the model.
I think there it was more the will of the entrepreneur than the government there.
Yeah,
Zoho
it's
CEO.
It's a twofold. Entrepreneur should have the intent.
Yeah.
If entrepreneur has the intent, there is no requirement of
Yes.
policy.
Yeah. So one last question before we wrap. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Madhuri, and my question is about the topic: what about the unskilled labor or the cheaper labor? So every nowadays every parent from any field wants his or her child to be a CSC student or to be an IT student or who has the knowledge about industry 4.0 technologies, etc. And no one wants his or her son or daughter to work about their traditional thing like farming, carpentry work, etc. So don't you think that after some point of time, that these unskilled labor will have the highest demand? Like when we take robots, if we think we can replace human work, those human work with robots, not robots are as much sensible as human, right? So do you think that, don't you think that these unskilled labor will have the highest demand?
That's a very good question. Very good question. You can add your US experience about the...
Correct, I was about to do
Yeah.
So basically, let's say there is an plumber or somebody that does the gardening. People who go from, let's say, our seniors who have gone to do masters and get an IT job, can you imagine that in most of the good towns and cities, the salary of a gardener or a proper plumber is equal to a tech guy in US? Can you imagine that? The guy coming to do our garden is going to get same, like paid as our own salary per hour. So what happens is usually in a supply demand curve, as you said, the cheap labor today, which is not the tech and the actual cheap labor of this country, not the world, is going to be in demand automatically when there is a surplus of resources spent on the other technology jobs and all the other jobs, and when there's not enough left here. So automatically when they get paid enough, the people themselves will, then the real opinion, because if you really want to be honest here, if you take 1,000 incoming batch of VVIT, at least 500 students of it are going to be just joining engineering because they're going to get a good placement or somebody told them life will be smoother. Not that they love engineering. The same way, when you realize that there are other skilled jobs that are going to get good salaries and a good life, once the supply demand curve settles down, automatically people will again flow back into it.
And thank you for being a part of this transformative event, and we hope knowledge is shared and connections made on this event. And I request all the students to please stand for the national anthem.